there, and welcome to Schoology Training with Dustin Fowler. If you're like many other school leaders or school officials and you're looking for unit recovery options, 2020 has been a rough year, so a lot of students might need some extra help. Look no further. This video is going to show you how to build a unit recovery course that can be used to either help students make up past work they may not have done so well in, or you might even be able to use a course similar to what we're going to create in this video for a summer school program if you have a repository of really good teacher created materials at your disposal. So, without any further ado, let's jump into Schoology. So before I get too far into the process of showing you how to create this course, I first want to say that like most other things in technology, there are several different ways to do the same thing. I know that Schoology is working on a process that's going to allow you to actually copy a master course, which may end up being something that's better to do down the road. But this model that I'm going to show you here is to basically use a group that you can create in the groups that will serve as a resource bank for district material that can be accessible or made accessible by many people at different schools that can create their own programs. And so this is just a general way of doing something that could be for one building or could be district-wide. So the first thing that you want to do is make sure that you do have a group with a repository of resources. If I click in here, the way we've got this course set up is we've got everything from middle school all the way up to some of the high school level courses separated by the different types of curricular study. If I click on one of these, I can see that there are also other courses within here where you'll be able to see those materials. Now the other thing you're going to want to do is actually create a course that you're going to use as your recovery course. And you do that by clicking on courses, my courses, and then create a course. I'm going to call this Unit Recovery Sample, and I can just call this Spring 2021 if I wanted to, or whatever it is that you want to put there. And for this, I'm going to put Other because it's going to be multiple levels, and I'm going to make this for, we're going to say 6 through 8. I'm just going to put the whole group into this one course. I'm going to scroll down, and we actually keep a PD course, so I'm going to make this what we have. This is going to be just a general course. It won't archive until August of 2021, and I'm going to create. So now, just like with any course, you've got a blank slate, and soon it's going to be time to start adding things in. In this particular course, the way I want it to roll is I want all core content areas, so social studies, math, science, and ELA, all to be in this one course. And I also want all grade levels from 6 through 8. So the way I'm going to put this together is I'm actually going to go to the grade setup first, and I'm going to make some changes here. And what I want to do is I do want this organized into categories, and I want the categories to each be the subject area and the grade level of that subject area. I like to set mine up to be calculated by percentage. I don't usually include a lowest drop. That's up to you however you want to set that up. Once you get all of the different categories set up, you would want to weight the category, and you can just leave it weighted at 100. Now, for the sake of time and for the sake of this demonstration, I'm only showing science and social studies. I'm not adding ELA and math to it as well, but if you wanted to add ELA or math, you could also go ahead and have grade level and also the subject included there in the categories. That's really important for how you're going to compute grading later on. Now, the next thing I'm going to want to do is I'm going to actually want to go into this unit recovery group that I've already made, which is where I've got the resources housed. And I want to click on the resources, and now this is the part that whoever it is putting together this course for your school is going to want to go in and access these materials. And so I'm looking for a middle school social studies and middle school science. So first, let's start with the social studies. What I'm going to do here is I want to get these materials added into the course. So there are many different ways to do this. You could go into the gear over here, and you can add it to a course that way, and it will allow you to set up some of the categories and some of the settings from the get-go there. But what I prefer to do is actually just click on the box here and click on Add to Course, and go ahead and put it in the course from here. I've got a lot of courses. The one I'm looking for is at the very bottom, the Unit Recovery Sample. I'm going to click on that, and it's going to go ahead and import all of these items within the folders directly into the course. So now the transfer is happening. I'm going to go back into the main folder, and I'm going to do the same thing for the science materials. So now here's the science materials. I'm going to check the box, and I'm simply going to add to course and go ahead and get those transferring into the unit recovery course. From here, if I go back into the course, I see that the materials are copying even as we speak. And right now they all just show up one folder after the next. I can go in and customize this and make them look like different colors if I wanted to by clicking on the gear and the edit, and then I could choose a different color for the world history and the geography and the US history. Or if I wanted to, I could just leave them all the same. So now that they're organized and color coded by content, I like the way that looks. That's the way I'm going to leave it right there. Now this next part is going to be where probably the majority of the work is going to happen. That is, I need to go in and actually add categories and settings into these assignments. So first of all, I have a substantial amount of assignments here. I may not want my students to do all this work. So before I get started, I want to first look through what I have here and possibly remove any content that students aren't going to have to do for this recovery program that I'm establishing. If I'm working on a summer school program, I may decide also that I don't want students to have to do all of this work. So first thing I might do is I might want to take out some of these writing assignments that students would have to have graded by a teacher, and I would just simply do that by clicking on the gear and clicking on the delete button. And I can get rid of any amount of these that I need to, because again, this student isn't actually taking this course. They're just trying to utilize this material to recover to say maybe a 60 or get their grade from something that was a slight failure to a passing grade for the semester. Once I've removed any amount of these assignments that I would like to have removed in all of the units, I'm ready to go ahead and start the next part of the process, which is to go in and add settings and categories. So I'm going to click on edit for all of these assignments, and I'm going to come down here to where it says ungraded, and I'm going to make it say, in this case, 6th grade world history. And I would do this for any amount of assignments that I'm going to leave open in the course. So this will take a little bit of time, depending on how much assignments you have, but the way that I would envision this would be that there would be a teacher who would be responsible for the social studies, and then there would be a teacher who would be responsible for the math and the science and so on and so forth. When you're looking at assessments or quizzes, you're going to want to go in and actually click on submissions and enable that so that students can complete the work while you're also setting the category weight or the category. For quizzes, you would have to click on the gear and edit and change not only the category, but you also would want to take the time to actually click on the assignment itself and go into the settings, which is going to allow you to double check that these assignments are enabled. So I think it's pretty cool that this did come directly out of the resource folder and it was already enabled. That's kind of a big deal. So I'm going to go ahead and save changes and go back to the course. So one way to go about changing the category a little bit more quickly is if you click on the gear and you open it, you open these assignments in a different tab, as you see that I'm doing here. And once you have them opened up in a new tab, you're able to go in pretty quickly and make the individualized category adjustments that need to be made for each of these assignments. And the reason why you want to do this is because once you're going in and trying to calculate the grading, this here is the way you're going to do that. You're going to be able to organize the content in the grade book by the category that it's assigned to. Now, something else too that's pretty clever that can be done if you've set your assignments up this way is you can see that there is a naming convention associated with each one of these titles and each one of these assignments. So what this is going to do is this is actually going to make it so that whenever I go into the grade book, if I were to go to click on these 3 dots over here and look at the bulk edit option, I'm actually going to be able to see all these materials in the order that they appear in the course. And so what this is going to allow me to do is simply go through and go ahead and just add that weight, or go ahead and just add that category directly to the assignment from the bulk editing. So this right here would save you a huge amount of time if your assignments were ordered in a way alphabetically that they just showed up in the order that they appear in the course. Once I get done with this, obviously you want to go in and remember to hit the save changes. So I went ahead and got the grading categories aligned to the proper assignments within the course, and I want to talk just for a second about why that's so important. And also I wanted to say that it did take me some time to do that. I have 21 pages of assignments in this particular course. That is a lot, and it took me by myself probably 35-40 minutes to align the categories, and I was going very quickly by basically putting each page in its own separate tab within Chrome and going in and doing the categories, which allowed me to do the process very quickly, but it still took a lot longer for just me than I would like for it to take. So again, this model that I'm showing you intends there to be a subject level teacher over, say, the middle school science or the middle school social studies. So rather than have one person doing this, you would have several people perhaps going through and aligning these categories. And the reason that we want to make sure we do this is because whenever you're going into the actual gradebook itself, all of these assignments are going to just be in the course, and there's no rhyme or reason, and it would take you way too long to go through and scroll. So what you will do is you actually take this all material and you're organizing the material in the gradebook based on the subject area and the grade, so that if you have students that are taking 6th grade science, they would show up and you would see only the science assignments. Or if you had a student who was taking only 7th grade geography, they would show up here and then you would see only the 7th grade geography. Now the next thing we want to do before we start putting students in this course is we want to click on members, and we want to prepare it in one further way, and that is we want to add some grading groups. So since I've got students from every school in this district, in this course perhaps, and also from different grade levels and different subjects, I wanted to go ahead and make grade level grading groups and also make subject level grade specific grading groups, such as 6th grade social studies, 6th grade science, 7th grade social studies, 7th grade science. And so I've already created those grading groups. To do that, all you would do is click on group name. You can see that I've already called one grade 8. I would just click on that and hit create grading group. And you can see that I've already done this over here with the other potential grading groups I would need. Now it's time to start adding students in the course. I'm going to click on add members, and in this case I'm going to add Albus Dumbledore, and I'm going to say that Albus Dumbledore is going to be in the 7th grade, so he's going to need 7th grade science and 7th grade social studies. So I want him to be in 3 groups. I'm going to click on the first group, which is 7th grade. I'm going to click on edit group, and I'm going to add him by clicking on his name and again create grading group, and that adds him into the grading group. Now I'm going to click on the 7th grade science grading group, and I'm going to repeat the process. Then I'm going to click on the 7th grade social studies grading group, and finally, he will appear in all 3, the 7th grade science, and then also 7th grade social studies. So now I will go back to the course. So now that I have a student in the course, I want to make sure that he can only see the material I want him to see, which is the 7th grade geography and 7th grade science. So I'm going to do that by individually assigning. Now let's say I've got 20 students in my 7th grade geography grading group. I would click on select grading groups and scroll down to 7th grade social studies, and I would assign that whole folder to just those students. So if a student is not in the 7th grade social studies folder, the folder becomes unpublished. I also want to come in here to the 7th grade science, and I want to go ahead and individually assign that folder to the 7th grade science students in the grading group, which would again effectively unpublish it for anyone else. Now, since right now Dumbledore is the only student in this course, the only way I can make these all disappear is to unpublish it. But I do also want to point out that if I unpublish a folder and then I later individually assign that folder to a particular group of students, it will publish for just them and remain unpublished for anyone else who is not assigned that work. So I'm going to go ahead and unpublish all the other remaining folders. I also want to recommend setting an availability range and having this set to publish on a specific day and also set to unpublish on a specific day. This is going to help you with establishing clear end dates so that students won't be able to work beyond the final date established in your program. Now that all my changes are saved and Dumbledore can see 7th grade material, I want to verify that he can in fact see what he needs to see, and I would click on course options and view course as, and I would select Dumbledore. Now I'm able to see that he can in fact see exactly what materials I need him to be able to see and would be able to progress in the coursework. Now as a teacher, for grade monitoring purposes, when I go to the grade book, I'm going to want to filter by the 7th grade group. You can see that 7th grade science and 7th grade social studies both have one member here. If there were members in the other groups, you would see however many members are existing in those groups as well. And I can look at the whole 7th grade. So if I had students that were in both science and social studies, and I wanted to see, generally speaking, how all of them were doing, I could click on that individual grading group as well and be able to see progress there. So if I clicked on 7th grade science, it will show me only students that are in the grading group 7th grade science. And then if I clicked on all materials and went to 7th grade science, it will show me not only just those students, but it'll also show me just those particular assignments, which is going to make it so you can manage having multiple courses within one Schoology course shell. Also, if I clicked on the data bars next to his name, I would be able to see a progress report for Albus Dumbledore, and I can see that even though these materials are going to show up, he doesn't have any access to them. They're showing up as unpublished for him, but I would be able to go to the 7th grade geography and 7th grade science category and actually see the overall average for just the work in these categories over here on the right, as well as a breakdown of how he's doing at the assignment level. This would be the average I would report for my recovery program to show his progress and see if he's passing or able to recover his credit for his course. At this point in setting up the course, you could design some personalization, or you could set up some features to help you to organize the course, such as a course information folder. But one thing that I definitely think should be required in this course, or that I would highly recommend, is to have a meet the teacher page. And that could look really easy. I've got one here that I've created and that I would utilize. All I did was create a table in the program, set up some fields for teachers to put in their name and their information and a picture of themselves, and optionally they can put some more information for students to be able to know more about them in order to reach out to a human on the other side. This might not be necessary if you're not doing a full virtual setting, but for the sake of what we're doing here, I do want to add it in. I want to make sure we give it a name, and then I'm going to create. And now we can see here that the students that entered the course would be able to get content information and know a little bit about the teachers who will help them facilitate their different subject levels at whatever grade level. So there you have it. There is a quick, simple way to create a course that contains your whole unit recovery or summer recovery programs in one simple Schoology course that can be monitored by principals and teachers or lab monitors. Hope you found the video helpful.